morning, students. Welcome back to online course on programming for problem solving. In our previous session, we discussed about the history of C language, and we said how the evolution of C language have been done from Algol to C99. Different developers have been contributed their effort in order to have this C language. And we said C language, it is a high level programming language and also the structured programming language. From Algol, we were having BCPL, then B language, and then C80, traditional C, then C85, then C99. Okay. In this development process, different people have contributed their effort. And after the history of C language, we discussed about identifiers, how these identifiers are helpful in naming different objects in C language that we have seen. And we said these identifiers, they are similar to nouns in any natural language. So how nouns are helpful in naming the objects, in that similar way identifiers are helpful in naming the objects in C language. And we have also seen different rules for naming the objects. Okay, different rules for naming the objects, that is nothing but different rules for framing the identifiers. And we have also seen the comments. I mean, we said comments are helpful in documentation process. In order to document the code, program code, we use comments in our programming languages. We said single line comment, multi-line comment, and how these nesting of single line and multi-line comments can be helpful, that also we have seen. And after that, we discussed about keywords. We said keywords are reserved words, and we are having 37 keywords in C language, and how these keywords, they are having special meaning or special features when used in C language, that also we have discussed. So quickly, in today's session, we will be discussing about data types. Okay, so what are these data types and how these data types are helpful in C language in writing the programs, that we will discuss in today's session. Yes, data types, or simply we can also call it as types. Data types are simply types. So in your examination, the university people, they frame the question in these ways. They sometimes ask you to write about only types. What are types in C language? Or they will also use the term data type to represent this concept. I mean, what are data types in C language? I mean, how data types are helpful in C language. Likewise, they will frame the questions. So generally, a type is nothing but it is a set of values and a set of operations. So generally, whenever we are taking a type of data, so what exactly this data means? Data is nothing but it is a kind, it is a form of a sequence or collection of some uh, characters only. So if you consider this slide, this slide is having some 4 points on it written in English language. So when you have written this uh, what we call the statements over here in English language, so all these statements, they are giving some meaning, isn't it? They are giving some meaning. So this form of content, or this form of data, um, it is having some sequence of characters, and it is giving some kind of meaning. So this is a kind of data, we can say. So this is a kind of data written in English language. So this data, when you are reading or when you are seeing, you are getting some um, idea from this data. So likewise, you can even have numerical values. Okay, suppose if you are doing some kind of calculations, so over there we are not going to have any English related stuff, isn't it? So there what we do, we use numbers, only numerical values to perform the calculations. Okay, that kind of thing is numerical data. So we are also going to have in numbers, we are also going to have like uh, natural numbers, whole numbers. So natural numbers, in the sense, they are the fixed numbers without any precisions, they are the fixed numbers. But when we talk about whole numbers, we are going to have the precision values as well, the decimal point as well. So the likewise, we are having different types of data. So what I'm trying to explain over here is the types of data. So if you're writing only characters, let us say if you are using A, B, C, likewise up to some Z, okay, then small a, small b, all these things, if you take only characters, we call it as character data. We call it as character data because we are using only single characters. We are not using sequence of characters, rather we are using only single characters. So we call this data as character data. But if you use the sequence of characters like hello, okay, uh, how, why, it is more than one character. Here we are having more than one character, or we can say sequence of characters. So this type of data we call it as string data. String. Okay. In detail we will discuss, but for now you just remember how data is different. I mean, from one to another, how the data is different. So this data is different and this data is different. Here we are having only single characters, but over here we are having sequence of characters. Likewise, if you have numerical values like 134, okay, then 456, okay, 782. Likewise, if you have this type of data, this is integer data because they are having whole number. I mean, they are having fixed numbers or only the whole numbers. Okay, so without any precision value. So this type of data we call it as integer data. Then you can also have with precisions, with decimal points like 132.94, 148.27, likewise 1.324. Likewise, you have decimal values, okay, decimal followed by the precision values. So this type of data we call it as float or double. Float or double data. So likewise, this data is different with this data, and this is also different, and this is also different. Here we are having different types of data. Okay, a person's name is different from person's what we call ID. ID we are going to have numerical values. Okay, name we are going to have only sequence of characters. Likewise, a person's name is different from person's ID or person's salary details. Salary details, also to store salary details we need float or double. Okay, to store, I mean, using string we cannot store the salary details because on salary we are going to perform the operations. So here this data is different, this data is different, this data is different, and this data is different. And moreover, when you are taking a type of data, its behavior is also different, isn't it? Suppose if you're taking the sequence of characters, let us assume you're taking the string. Okay, sequence of characters, that is nothing but you are taking string. So if you take string, can you perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, like type of arithmetic operations on that strings? Can I add this hello with this how? Not possible, we cannot add, isn't it? So when you are taking a type of data, its operations also different. Okay, so if you take the integers, you can perform addition, subtraction, multiplication likewise. And when you are taking string, you can perform concatenation. Concatenation in the sense you can join this uh, hello and how, you can join these two together. Okay, and you can also calculate the length of this string. So length in the sense how many characters it is having. Okay, like 1 2 3 4 5. Hello, when you are taking, it is having 5 characters. Likewise, you can calculate the length of the string. So there are other operations also we have which we can perform on the strings. Simply what I mean to say over here is, whenever you are taking a type of data, okay, its nature, its behavior is different. Okay, so you can take numerical values to perform arithmetic operations, and to perform calculations, you can take the numerical value. But when it comes to strings, you can take to store the what we call names, other information, other related information. In order to store such type of thing, you can go with strings. Okay, so this is about the nature, the type of data what I have just now explained. So in order to take a particular data into your C program, you need to define its type. Okay, you need to define its type. So type definition is nothing but what type of data you are taking into your C program, that it will tell. Okay, so if you are taking numerical data, you have to define the data using numerical type. If you are taking character data, that you have to define using character type. If you are taking um, precision, I mean decimal points data, you have to define with define it with float or double. And if you are taking string data, you have to define it with strings. Okay, so generally a type, when you're defining it, not only tells what type of values you are going to store into that data, but also what type of operations you can perform on that data. Okay, so a data type will tell both the things, not only the values which you are going to store, but also the operations that you are going to perform. Okay, so hopefully you understood the concept of data types. The second point, if you see, a type not only defines the type of data that you are going to store, but also the size limitation. So, so yes, where exactly we are going to store the data, in the sense inside a variable. Inside a variable only we are going to store the data. So when you are storing the data inside a variable, yes, we have to, I mean, the type not only defines the type of data that you are going to store, but also the size limitation. I mean, to what extent you can store the data into that variable. Okay, defining a single variable and storing whatever you want, it is not possible, isn't it? So size limitation also going to be there, and the data type itself specifies that size limitation. Okay, so in order to understand this concept of data types, you can take an example of a light switch. Okay, on the switchboard we are going to have a light switch, and it is going to have only two possible values. The light switch, it can be in on state or it can be in off state. So those two uh, states, you can consider the values of that switch. So the switch, either it can be in on state or it can be in off state. There is no other possible state for an electrical switch, electric switch. So when it is in on condition, we can consider its value as on, and when it is in off state, we can consider its value as off. So a light switch, it can be either in on state or it can be in off state. So these two are the possible values for an electric switch. on and off are the possible values for an electric switch. Okay, so then the next thing, the operations. What type of operations we can perform on an electric switch? You can switch on the electric switch or you can switch off the electric switch. Okay, so these two operations, that is turning the switch on and turning the switch off, these two operations we can perform on an electric switch. So in this way, whatever data you take into consideration, it is going to have its behavior and it is going to have its value. So suppose if I am taking 24, let us assume I am taking a value 24. By seeing itself, you are telling this value as an integer value, isn't it? It is an integer value. It is having some specific value consideration in this universe. 24 represents 24 as a count, isn't it? When you're taking 24 into mathematics, it represents 24 as a count. Okay, then what type of operations you can perform on this 24? You can add this 24 to some other integer value, you can subtract this 24 from some other integer value, you can multiply, you can divide this 24. Okay, like this you can perform different operations on this 24. So all those operations are comes under the possible operations and the value is 24. Likewise, every data from this universe, whatever you take, it is going to have its own value and also the operations. So how we are going to know the type of this data? In the sense, by using the data type. By using the data types, we are going to know the type of this data. Okay, so example also I have given. We can consider the light switch as an example for data, and it is having its values as on and off, and it is having its operations as turning the light switch on and turning the light switch off. Okay, in C language, the types are divided into four major categories. So the types, they have been divided into four major types. They are like void type, integral type, and floating point, and finally the derived type. Void, integral, floating point, and derived type. These four are the types in C language. We need to know only about these four types. So the C types, as you can see, we have void type, we have integral type, we have floating point, and we have derived type. These four types. And these types, among these types, few types, they are also having further categorization. Like void type, there is no further categorization, as you can see in this picture. In this diagram, I am completely giving that idea. C types, they have been divided into four: void, integral, floating point, and derived type. And only the integral and floating points, they have been further divided. So if you see the integral types, they have been divided like boolean, character, integer. Three types, integral types. And floating point type, they have been divided real, imaginary, and complex. Likewise, imaginary numbers, complex numbers, we are having in mathematics. To store those numbers in our program, we have to depend on these real, imaginary, and complex types. Okay, soon you will understand all these things. So the first three types, like void, integral, and floating point, only these three types are known as primitive types, and the last type is the derived type. These first three types are independent. They are not dependent on anything. Directly you can take them and you can define them in your program and you can use them in your program. But when it comes to this derived type, so in order to define or in order to use this derived type, you have to depend on the primitive types. Derived types are dependent on primitive types for their definition. Okay, so those primitive types are nothing but again the first three, that is void, integral, and floating point. Okay, so basically we study, I mean, in today's session we'll study about void, integral, and floating point. About this derived type, it is not possible to complete this derived type in a single class. Rather, we'll proceed throughout this semester. We will discuss about this derived types. Derived types are nothing but your arrays, your pointers, your structures, your unions. okay, your functions, all these comes under your derived types. Okay, so let's just quickly start the concept of data types. We'll go with the void type. So already we discussed one particular type of algorithm or one particular type of symbol in your flowchart, that is a null symbol. So null symbol, we said it is not going to have any symbol, okay, simply to represent uh, not doing anything. So why we are using null type means to represent not doing anything, we are using null type. So in your algorithm, if you have something that you want to represent as nothing, you're not doing you're not doing any operation, you're not performing anything in your flowchart, then what we are doing, we are going for null symbol. In that same way, in terms of data type, if you want to perform, if you want to indicate that you're not taking any values or you're not performing any action, then you have to go for void type. So the keyword void is used, so always remember the keywords. Whenever we are going for a particular topic, you have to remember the keywords. So to indicate or to represent the void type, we are using the void keyword, VOID, void keyword. The void keyword is used to indicate the void type. Okay, void type means no values and no operations. We're not going to perform, we're not going to take any values into consideration, and we're not performing any operation. So generally where we use this void type, in the sense we have a concept called functions. So if to a function, if you don't have any parameters and if you don't have any return values over there to indicate that a function is not having any parameters and that a function is not having any return value, we use void type. Okay, so in order to understand the uh, complete behavior or the complete idea about these void types, we need to wait till functions. The functions we will discuss in your third unit. Okay, so we need to wait up to functions. In functions only you will understand the purpose, the exact purpose of parameter, the exact purpose of this void type. Okay, so you might have noticed this one. Whenever we are writing a C program, we are taking int main of void. So this void indicates that we are not supplying anything to this main function. Main is a function and we are not supplying anything to this main function. We are not giving any input to this main function. So to indicate that we are not giving any input, we we made this parameter list as void. Okay, so again, in order to declare a generic pointer also, we use void type, void star ptr. This ptr will become a generic pointer. So this concept, to understand, we need to wait till your fifth unit, that is the concept of pointers. Okay, so just you have an idea over here what is a void type and how this void type is helpful. Okay, then we have the integral types. In C language, there are three integral types, that is Boolean type, character type, and integer type. So integral types, they are three. The first one, the Boolean, then we have the character, and then we have the integer. Okay, so when you're taking integral types into consideration, you can store only the whole numbers. You cannot store the fractional part, as you can see over here. We cannot store the fractional part into a integral type, and we can store only the whole numbers. They are only whole numbers. We have to store only the whole numbers. We cannot store the fractional parts. Okay, hope you understood what is whole number and what is fractional part. So let us assume that is 134, as it is not having any fractional part. Fractional part in the sense the numerical value which comes after the decimal point. Okay, the numerical value which comes after the decimal point, we call it as the fractional part, like this. After decimal point we are having 78, 0.78. So this 0.78 we call it as a fractional part, and this is your whole number. 123 is the whole number. So inside an integral type we can store only the whole number. We cannot store the fractional part. Hope you understood this one. So integral types, they are three: Boolean, character, and integer. And integral types, they take only the whole numbers. They doesn't hold any fractional part. Okay, Boolean types. Yes, Boolean type, it is included only in C99. I mean, when we have seen the hierarchy of evolution of C language, we were having different C language types like traditional C, C85, C99, likewise, isn't it? So this Boolean types, they have introduced only in C99. Before C99, there was no Boolean type. Okay, so Boolean type was included in C99, and it is, I mean, why the name Boolean they have given in the sense, there, I mean, it is named after a French scientist or French mathematician and philosopher Georges Boole. So Boolean types, it is not specific to your C language. Rather, we have these Boolean types in many different programming languages, and even in your mathematics, we use these Boolean values, true and false. So to represent the Boolean values, because as you know, the entire computer is dependent on these Boolean values, and who invented or who gave these Boolean values to the world in the sense, there was a French mathematician and philosopher, Georges Boole, and he belongs to France. Okay, and he gave these Boolean values to the world, and they named these types after his name only. So that's why the name Boolean. Okay, a Boolean will have only two values like true and false, nothing apart from that. Only we can store either true or false values inside a Boolean type. Only two values, true and false. So this true, sometimes it will be represented by a 1, and this false represented by a 0, or true represented by a non-zero value and false represented by a 0. Non-zero value in the sense any value other than 0 will be treated as a true symbol or true sign, and 0 will be treated like a false sign. Okay, yes, as you know, booleans, they have a boolean type. It was introduced in C99, and before C99, how the boolean numbers were represented in the sense using integers only, and positive value represents positive, I mean, any non-zero value. Non-zero value represents a true case, and a 0 represents a false case. 0 is used to represent false, and a non-zero represents true. Hopefully you understood. So after the introduction of Boolean types, either true or false or 1 or 0 is used to represent a Boolean value. And in order to represent this Boolean type, BOOL, bool is used. The keyword bool is used to represent the Boolean type. Okay, so how the Boolean types will be stored inside the memory in the sense either 0 or 1. 0 represents a false value and 1 represents true. This is how the Boolean values are stored inside the memory. So whatever data you have, in order to store the data, definitely we have to reserve some memory from the computer. That memory reservation and all we will discuss very soon when it comes to variables. Okay, variable definition, when it comes over there, we will discuss in detail how this data will be stored inside your program for manipulation or for access. Okay, then we have the character data. So the character data, it is normal characters, whatever characters, single character, whatever characters we have in English, or even you can frame the characters using numerical values. Okay, so about it we will discuss very soon. So in computers, a character represents any value that can be represented in computers alphabet or computer C's character set. Okay, we have C's character set like, um, we have seen all English alphabets will come under C's character set. Numerical values like digits comes under C's character set. Special characters like um, semicolon, colon, full stop, comma, Okay, all the curly brackets, then we have square brackets, then we have angular bracket. All these special symbols comes under special characters, and these special characters will also comes under C's character set. So in short, if you want to remember, whatever symbols we have on the keyboard, all those symbols comes under the C's character set, or a character value. So in C standard, there are two character types. One is the normal character and the wide character set. So if you have a normal character uh, over here in C, standard, we are having two different types of characters. That is, one normal character and other one is wide character set. WCHAR underscore T stands for wide character set. Okay. So if you use a normal character, it will consume only 1 byte of memory from the computer to store. Okay. It will take only 1 byte to store the character value, and 1 byte in the sense how many bits? 8 bits it will take, and 8 bits in the sense how many different combinations? 256 different possible combinations. So how 1 byte 8 bits will store only 256 combinations? In the sense, simply take the number of bits to 2's power. Okay, there you will get the number of uh, possible positions or number of possible symbols that you can store inside a character. Okay, so how we treat a letter X or letter A in English, it is different from in the computer. In English, how this A you're treating, how you're writing that A, based on that one you're treating this A. The graphical association of this symbol constitutes the meaning of this symbol, isn't it? When you're writing a letter, let us say E, like this, E you are writing. So by seeing that graphical association, how the letter E has been written, by seeing that you are understanding it as E. But in computers, it is not like that. In computer, it is going to have its associated binary value, because your computer will understand only the binary values, isn't it? Only the machine language instructions, or only the binary value, binary numbers it will understand. So this E letter or this A letter, it is going to have its um, equivalent or its supportive binary value. So if you see the binary value equivalent to A, here it is represented. So this one, using 8 bits, they have represented the binary equivalent of A. So in English, you are seeing the letter A like this, but in computer, it will be stored like this. Understood? So letter X you are seeing like this in English, but it will be stored like this in the computer, because your computer will not store the letter A, letter E as it is written, or as it is framed on the paper. Okay, when you are storing letter A into your computer, it will be stored like this, because your computer will understand only the zeros and ones. It will understand only the binary language. So for every possible uh, word or every possible letter in the universe, you need to have an equivalent binary value for that one. Okay, so this binary value, it is constituted to A, and A will be stored like this inside the computer. Hopefully you understood. So in C99, okay, these special character set, wide character set, to support additional characters, like not only the symbols what you have on the keyboard, but also there are symbols in this universe, in this world, which are not there on the keyboard. So let us say the Arabic letters. Okay, Arabic alphabet, we have different symbols in Arabic alphabet. To support those Arabic alphabets in C language, and to support German, to support Chinese, Japanese, Hindi, Telugu, Urdu, to support all these special languages, okay, all these natural languages in C language, we are having a special type of data type, that is a wide character set. So this wide character set will have all the characters to support. Okay, we have character, we have wide character. Character will support only the normal English alphabets, digits, or we can say whatever we see on the keyboard. To support that one, we will go with wide character. But to support special symbols which are not there on the keyboard, we have to go for wide character set. So we discuss about character only. In detail, we discuss about character only, and this wide character set, it is at research level. Okay, it is beyond our scope, it is beyond our what we call knowledge. So we will not go into detail about this wide character set, just we have an idea about this wide character set, what it is and where it is used. Okay, then we have integers. Integers, as we said, we are having further categorization into integers. And an integer, we said, it is a whole number without any fractional part, without any fraction. Okay, a whole number without any fraction, we call it as an integer. Okay, C supports four different sizes of integers. Okay, four different sizes, that is short int, we have int, we have long int, and we also have long int. This is one short, then int 2, long int 3, and long int 4. We have four different types of integers in C language. Integral types, we have three. That is, the first one integer, boolean, and floating point. We have three different types of integers, integral types. But when it comes, so that is int integer, character, and float. Okay, isn't it? Like that only we discussed, right? See here. Integral types, four different integral types: boolean, character, and integer, isn't it? So we discussed about boolean types, only true and false. Character type, character, white character. Then we are discussing about this integer. This integer, we said, it is further divided into four: 1, 2, 3, 4. The first one is short int, then we have int, then we have long int, and then we have long int. Likewise, we are having four different types. Now we are discussing about these things, integrals. So integer types, as we said, only we can store only the whole number, we cannot store the fractional part. And C supports four different sizes of integers, that is short int, long int, and long int. A short int also referred as only short, and long int as long int as long. Likewise, we can omit this term int after this type. Okay, when we are saying short int, instead of short int, you can only call it as short. Okay, and when you have integer, you have to call it as integer only. Then when you have long int, you can refer it as only long, and when you have long int, you can refer it as only long. Likewise. Okay, uh, and why these different types we have in the sense based on their size. So when you take short int, you will get less memory to store. When you get int, you will get more memory. Long in the sense some more memory, and long in the sense some more memory. Likewise, based on their size to store. Okay, based on their size to store, we have this categorization. Like short means small amount of memory, int means the normal regular one, long means very large, and long means very large. Likewise. Okay, uh, these data types are organized from the smallest to the largest as shown in the following figure. Likewise, see here, short int means we are getting only this much of memory, integer means somewhat big, long means like this, and long means the very huge one. Okay, so to know the size of any data type, so in order to understand how many bytes a particular data type is allotted, okay, how many bytes a particular data type is giving, we are having a special operator like size of operator. This size of operator can be used along with the type to understand how many bytes that particular data type is allocating. Suppose if you want to know the size of an integer, simply take like this. size of int. So this will tell you, this will give you how many bytes the integer type is giving. Okay, so we will understand all these things when we do the stuff practically. I mean, after completing the first part of your syllabus, then we will go to the programming stuff. Over there you will understand. So here, as you can see, size of short is smaller when compared to size of integer. Okay, again it is smaller than size of long, again it is size of long, smaller than size of long. Likewise, they will come in a sequence. Okay, smaller compared to this, smaller, and this is the largest one. Okay, signed and unsigned integers also we have. About them we will discuss very soon. Okay, this is the number of bytes that a particular data type will give, and this is the size, I mean maximum and minimum value that you can store. If you take a short integer, it will take only 2 bytes of memory, and this is the range that you can store. The values between this, the minimum value that you can store into this short int is this one, and the maximum value that you can store is this one. When you go to integer, it will take 4 bytes, and this is the minimum value, and this is the maximum value. Long integer, again it will also take 4 bytes, minimum value, maximum value. Then finally the long integer, it will take 8 bytes of memory, and it will take minimum value is this much and maximum value is this much. It is a very huge value, isn't it? So the floating point types, if you want to store the fractional part, we said inside integers we can't store the fractional parts, but if you want to store the fractional parts, then you have to go for floating point types. Floating point types are real, imaginary, and complex types. Okay, real numbers, imaginary numbers, and complex numbers. Floating point types are always signed. Okay, signed and unsigned is the concept. That is, signed numbers means you can store both positive as well as negative, but when we are saying unsigned, you can store only the positive numbers, you can't store the uh, negative numbers. Okay, so floating point types are always signed. That means you can store both positive as well as negative numbers. There is no concept of unsigned numbers in floating point types. The concept of signed and unsigned numbers is there in your the previous category, that is integers. In your integers only we have both signed integers as well as unsigned integers, but when it comes to floating point, there is no such thing. You can store only the signed numbers, that is both positive as well as negative numbers in a floating point type. Okay, these floating point types, they have been categorized into three, that is real, imaginary, and complex. So the real numbers we are seeing now. A real type holds the values that consist of an integral part and a fractional part. As you can see, this is 49.32. So this is your integral part. 49 is your integral part, and this 0.32 is the fractional part. So a real number is a combination of both real part as well as the integral part as well as the fractional part. So there are three different sizes of real types. Again, when we talk about these real types, we have three different sizes. That is float, double, and long double. Float, double, and long double. Okay. So these types, these float, double, and long double, why this categorization or why this separation, in the sense, why we have different types of real number in the sense, real numbers in the sense, based on their sizes. Okay, based on their sizes. If you take float, you will get the small amount of memory. Double, somewhat big, and long double, it is a very huge value. Okay, they are also organized from smaller size to the larger size. To show that one, yeah, I will take the help of this picture. As you can see, when we are saying float, okay, it is smaller. The box represents the size. As it is having the small box, it will take the small amount of memory. Double, medium size we can say, and long double, it is a large size we can say. So if you use the size of operator on these types, Size of float, it is smaller than size of double, which is again smaller than size of long double. Likewise, then we have the imaginary numbers in your mathematics. So we don't do any programs, or we don't do anything, any kind of calculation using these imaginary and complex numbers. Just as a special case, we are studying about these imaginary and complex numbers. By the way, moreover, if you go to the textbooks of some authors for the C language, they don't even talk about these imaginary numbers and complex numbers in C language. But as a prescribed book, these details are there in your textbook. That's why we are discussing this one. Okay, so imaginary type, an imaginary number is a real number multiplied by under root of minus 1, isn't it? That we call this under root of minus 1 as I, isn't it? I, we call it as I, imaginary number. Maybe you might have done the calculations on imaginary numbers in your mathematics. So that numbers to represent, we go with this imaginary types. Okay, so C supports, or C defines an imaginary type to support imaginary numbers in programming. Suppose in your programming, if you want to have these imaginary numbers, then you have to go for these imaginary types. Okay, there are three different types of imaginary numbers. Again, based on their sizes, we are having this categorization between imaginary types, like float imaginary, the small one; double imaginary, the medium one; and the long double imaginary, it is the large one. Okay, many C implementations do not support imaginary types yet. If you go to the traditional C, or if you go to C85, we don't have the concept of imaginary numbers. These imaginary numbers, they have introduced in C99 only. Okay, so just remember this one. When you are talking about, when we are talking about imaginary numbers, the version of C, the type of C we are using, it plays a vital role over there. If your version of C is an older one that do not support imaginary types, if it is a latest one, okay, having the support to C99, then you can expect these imaginary numbers over there. Hope you understood. Okay, then the complex type. Again, we have the concept of complex numbers in mathematics. A complex number is nothing but it is a combination of a real number as well as the imaginary number. It is going to have two things: a real number plus imaginary numbers. A plus bi, isn't it? Like this, we write an complex number, a plus bi, where a, b are the real parts and this I is the imaginary part. Okay, a plus bi, the form, this type of numbers in your mathematics, we call them as complex numbers. To support these type of numbers, we go for complex number. A complex number is a combination of real number and an imaginary number. Okay, so C defines complex types to support complex number in programming. So if you want to have these complex types in your program, you have to go for complex numbers. So again, based on their sizes, these complex numbers are further categorized into three: float complex, double complex, and long double complex. Float complex is the smaller one, double complex is the medium one, and long double complex is the larger one. Okay, about this imaginary type and complex type, we will discuss only this much, and this is the complete summary of data types whatever we have discussed so far. So first we discussed about void types. Void, we said there is no value, no operation that we can perform on void type. So uh, yes, the keyword associated with this void type is void. Void, all small letters. Keywords, we use all small letters. Then integral types, we have three different types: boolean, character, integer. Boolean type to support BOOL. Character, we have two different types: normal character and wide character set. Integer, we have four types: short int, int, long int, and long long int. Floating point type, again three categories: real, imaginary, complex. Real types, again three different based on their size: float, double, and long double. Imaginary, float imaginary, double imaginary, and long double imaginary. Complex, also same thing: float complex, double complex, and long double complex. As you can see, only three we are discussing over here. Three data type categories we are discussing over here, and there is another category like derived that we are not discussing over here. As we said, we will discuss about this derived type throughout this semester. Okay, this is about data types. Then further we have the concept of variables. Let me just check the timing. It is almost 50 minutes, so we need to stop the lecture over here. And this data types concept, it is an important concept for your mid exams. Maybe we can frame one LAQ from this data types. So you need to be very much sure about this data types. What is the data type and how many different types we have in C, and the further categorization in each type, and how these types are organized based on their sizes. All these things you must know, you must understand, and you must have an idea when you represent them in your internal exams, hopefully. Okay, thank you very much, students.